a moment as usual. See if we're working. I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide. Welcome to another live video here on YouTube. Today we're going to talk as usual about fluency, but I wanted to talk a little bit more specifically about how I do this for myself, how I help my children who are learning both English and Japanese, and of course how I help all of my students get fluent by erasing doubt. So let me make sure YouTube is working. I think it should be. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, it is. All right, so as usual, if you have any questions, you can let me know. Nice to see you there, Raul and George. You guys are always right on time. I don't know how you do that. You must be on YouTube just all the time, or at least around this time. Silner, nice to see you there. I will try to keep this pretty short at the beginning, and then if people have questions after that, we'll see how long we go. But I often get questions from people, YouTube notification, sure. Well, that's interesting. YouTube doesn't notify most people, I think. So I don't know. Welcome. I'm glad you got the notification though. So people will often ask me how exactly they should be learning, and when I talk about erasing doubt or learning vocabulary, is there a specific way I have to do this? And the point that I always come back to is that you want to eliminate any doubt you have, because it's the doubt or uncertainty or just any kind of frustration that will prevent you from speaking. So even if you know some vocabulary, let's say I know a word, but I'm unsure about how to pronounce that word, that is a doubt that will stop me from speaking. So the way to clear that doubt or answer that question or solve that problem is to find out how to pronounce that word correctly. And usually what happens is it's not just getting one correct way to say something from a teacher. Often we will hear after many different people saying a word, we will really feel confident about how to say it, because there are many ways to say things, many ways to pronounce things, many ways to express things, and each person has a slightly different voice. So it's important when we talk about getting variety and using that to eliminate doubt. I thought I would give a quick example of that in today's video. If I can erase the board. If I leave this up here for too long. Look at that. I'm trying to remove the doubt over here, as usual. So if you have questions as I go through this, but I thought I would talk about one word just to make this very simple and easy. And the word we will use today is face. Face. Now, as I just mentioned, let's say you probably know this word already. It's probably pretty easy. It's a fairly basic word. Children learn this word pretty quickly as well, because people talk about faces. You see faces, or any kind of thing related to faces. But as you get older and you start learning more variety or kind of different ways of using this word or related words in conversations, it helps you understand things. So Lewis has a good point already, getting ahead of me. Very good though, talking about facing the problem. So typically when you're learning a language, and I'm using this one because people probably know it already, but I wanted to give a bunch of different examples like the one Lewis just gave. And so you can think about helping your brain understand things not by repeating the word face over and over again, but by getting slightly different examples, what I call naturally varied review, getting slightly different examples of ways you might use the word or different people pronouncing the word. That's a little difficult for me in this video because I'm the only voice. But again, when children are learning the language, or even just non-natives are learning the language, as you get a variety of examples from people, it's that variety that makes the word memorable, that really helps you understand how to use it, and also, again, gives you that good pronunciation. So if we have a word like face, usually what your brain is doing now, it hears a word and maybe you understand what that means, like we associate that with a particular situation. In this case, we're connecting the word face with the physical image of that face. So we have a particular face, like a happy face or a sad face or something like that. But this is when you're understanding the language all in English, you're making a connection between the word or sound and the situation. So in this case, we're just talking about something physical like this. It might be moving or whatever, but maybe just a regular person's face. And so making this connection here, the more connections you make, the faster you get fluent, because fluency really just means you're eliminating all the doubts that stop you from speaking. So as I mentioned in my previous video, at the end of that video, if you have not seen that one, I talk about like imagining a machine that could instantly make you fluent. And I asked people, how would that work? And if you think about it, the way a machine like that would work for a person who already knows a lot of the language, but they don't speak very well, a machine that could give you instant fluency. So if you push a button, what would it do to you? It wouldn't just give you a whole bunch of more words or a whole bunch of new grammar rules to memorize. It wouldn't like push that into your brain. It would actually remove all of the doubts and frustrations and need to translate and worries and all of that. So it would remove that information. And when I started thinking about language learning in that way, where it wasn't about adding more, but about removing barriers that stop me from fluency, that's when I really started becoming a better speaker, because I could really make it very clear from my mind, not like, okay, I need to learn 10,000 words or 20,000 words or whatever some number is. It's more like, okay, I have a certain number of words already that I know, but I don't feel very confident about using them. So I should probably eliminate any kind of doubts I have. So if I'm unsure about grammar, I should get some more examples of it or see how natives are actually using it in context, or the same thing with vocabulary or pronunciation or anything else. And so when I'm learning or teaching my kids or teaching students, like yourself here, the point here is to help you make more connections so you eliminate that doubt. And with the doubt gone, you speak. So let me continue this here, and we can continue making more connections today. I thought I would teach some different face words or face-related phrases. If you know some more, I wanted to usually, as I usually do, begin with something very basic and simple, like a physical face like this. But as Lewis mentioned before, you might have like face a problem or face the music, something like that, where it's a little bit more of a figurative kind of thing. Like it's not like actually your physical face, but more like the direction where you are facing. So we could even have a word like talk about where you are facing, and think about that as like where you are pointing your face or the direction you are looking. And again, we're making that connection. Here's another connection with the word face, or we could have even like facing like this, maybe another connection. I'm thinking like, oh, I hear someone in a conversation talking about a book. I don't have a book with me, but let's say we are looking at a book. We have like page 1 over here and page 2. So I could have like something written over here, and on the facing page, I have some other image over here. And so look at that. Like here's another use of the word facing. And again, the point is not to try to get every use of the word. It's not to like add more. It's just to remove the doubt you have that stops you from speaking. So if you're uncertain about how to use a word, rather than repeating that word, get some different examples of how that word might be used, and together these various connections help you understand that word or the pronunciation or grammar or whatever it is. Okay? Hopefully this idea makes sense, because people typically, like if they might not feel so confident in a particular word or grammar point, and instead of really knowing it well, they will just try to learn more information, and hopefully that gets them fluent. But typically it doesn't, because if you're not fluent in the words you already know, then new words typically are not going to get you more fluent. All right? So the process is more about feeling more confident by eliminating doubt or misunderstandings or anything like that. And so if you are worried about usages or pronunciation or anything, that will stop you from speaking. So I will open this up to anyone, just like Lewis gave me the example before. If you can think of some other words, we might see how these connect. I'll list some more myself, but if you can think of some as well, we can integrate these and everyone will develop a stronger understanding of the word face and how to use it. So another example I thought I would give is face to face. So yet another example where we have like one face looking at another face like this. Maybe we can draw two little, I don't know, people kind of looking at each other over here. So when you think about something coming face to face, it's actually the physical idea of one face maybe meeting someone else or looking at someone else in that way, but you could come face to face with anything. Like right now I am face to face with a whiteboard over here. And even this whiteboard, we can talk about this is like the face of the whiteboard itself. So even though it doesn't look like this, it doesn't have eyes and a nose and a mouth, something like that, we can still talk about like the surface of something. So the face of the whiteboard or the face of, like the facing pages, the face of a particular thing, the face of a company might be the head of the company or the person who maybe represents that company, like a sponsor or, like a paid, I don't know, like a famous actor or something like that. So again, there are lots of different examples where we might have the word face, but as we get more of them, it really helps us understand the whole language better by understanding the pieces of it better. So as you understand individual words and phrases better, you feel more confident about using the whole language. All right. So if we can think of any more, so we'll make another connection here. So coming face to face with another person, you could come face to face with trouble. Like today I came face to face with, I don't know, some dog on the street and he started chasing me and I ran away. So I was face to face with someone. Even if I'm not like directly looking at that thing, it's more like meeting that thing in some way. So to come face to face with something like that. I could also do, we'll switch the example a little bit. Let me see and make sure that fits. To do an about face. So about face means you're going to turn and have your face going the opposite direction. You often hear this used in maybe military, army movies, that kind of thing, where soldiers are marching 1, 2, 1, 2, and someone says about face, and now we turn and face the other direction. So to about face. Now that is a physical example of that thing. I'm moving from one direction or facing one direction, and then I face the other direction to do an about face, to about face. But I could also do an about face about many things. Like maybe I'm thinking or have one idea about something and then I change my mind or have the opposite opinion later. So I did an about face on something. So maybe I had a belief about, I don't know, it's good for children to buy cigarettes, let's say. So it's a good idea for children to buy cigarettes, but I talk with my wife and she says, maybe it's not such a good idea that children buy cigarettes. And so I say, oh, okay, all right. I do an about face on that. I change my opinion and use the other thing. Yes, a facade is the same kind of idea. So just like facade. Yes, a facade has that same idea. Or we could also have a similar thing like facial. Like I could have some facial hair. So this morning I shaved my facial hair so I don't have a mustache or a beard right now, but I could have something. It's again that same idea. So facial, surface, facade, we're talking about kind of the outside thing or the outward facing thing, something you can see rather than the inside of that thing. So the surface of that thing. So even, looking at this marker, I can talk about the surface of this marker. So the ink is on the inside, but here the plastic cover, this is the surface. There is a label here on the surface of the marker. Okay, or the surface of the moon or the surface of the sun is really hot, something like that. So yes, these are all good examples. And again, the point is, I really want to make this clear because people have like a very kind of a strong desire to know every example of something to feel confident about it. But the point is not to try to know everything, and I'm not giving you all of these to say, okay, class, today we are going to cover every example of the word face. The point is more, as you get more examples, if you're not already confident about the word, or even if you are confident, and usually there are some more interesting things to learn, you can deepen your understanding, not by repeating the word, but by seeing it used in slightly different ways. Okay? So we already see, hopefully, if you're new to this word or you only knew face, hopefully you're starting to recognize, like facial recognition, like seeing a camera or something that can recognize faces. That would be some facial recognition camera or facial recognition technology. Like I'm looking at something and that machine can recognize my face. So I could have a facial expression, facial expression. So what is the face I'm making right now? Do I have a happy face or an angry face or a sad face? And so speaking of different faces, we can talk about like having a face or making. We'll talk about make, to make a face. Now, typically when we talk about making a face, this is more like children making a funny face, or maybe a child eats something and they say, ugh, like I don't like the way this tastes. And so the children are very expressive like that. Maybe an adult, they try something, even if they don't like it very much, they don't make a face about it. So they're not like really exaggerating or really showing how they feel about something to make a face. And so we could make a face, or similarly, we could put on a face. So putting on a face is typically where it's almost like a mask. So maybe I'm actually very unhappy today, but I put on my happy face so that I can, enjoy my day and other people don't feel bad. Maybe I'm going to a party or something and I don't really want to be there, but I will put on a happy face anyway, and look at that, like, now I feel, or I'm looking, at least other people think I am having a good time, even if I'm upset or sad or whatever. So I put on a happy face. So you can put on various faces. I could put on a brave face. So maybe I'm actually very scared of something, but I try to look very brave and strong. So I put on a brave face. So a brave face or a happy face or anything like that, to put on a brave face. Yes, so Lewis was also talking about like facing trouble or facing the music. Now this is a bit more of an advanced expression. When you're learning it, it doesn't really have much to do with music in that situation where you're in trouble and now you have to deal with the consequences of something. So I took my dad's car and I crashed it, and I didn't get his permission to drive the car, and I know when I see him again and when he sees the car, he's going to be very angry. I will have to face the music. So I will have to deal with the consequences of that. So I will face trouble, or in that sense, face the music, like facing kind of the bad situation that will happen to me as a result of that. So you can see we have, again, even just one word, rather than repeating the word itself again and again, or learning completely different vocabulary, if we spend a little bit of time getting a few more examples to really help us understand a word, we will feel much more confident about using it. All right? If any of these examples are new for you, don't you now feel more confident about the word? I did pick an example that's a little bit easier. Face is a pretty easy example, but I thought maybe you guys would enjoy this, and maybe I would be able to teach not too difficult of expressions, but some interesting things that you can actually use in your everyday conversations. I'll give you another example here. In your face. So to be in someone's face is like this. I get very close. Maybe I'm angry with you. Someone is causing some trouble, and I get in their face. I say, okay, like we're maybe going to have a confrontation or an argument or a fight, something like that, to get in someone's face or in your face, or someone was in my face. So it's like they're very close together. So not just face to face or facing someone, but in your face. In your face. Well, Kozue says, I have been facing challenges at work. Yeah, so that's another good use of facing. So, like, again, I could be facing a particular direction, like I'm facing north or south or east or west, or I could be facing a particular person, or I could be facing a challenge. And often, like, I'm kind of looking at that thing and I'm having to deal with that. Now that is some situation I am in. So I'm facing a challenge with something, or I'm facing difficulty, or I'm facing trouble, or I'm facing something else. So again, you have a really a great variety of things, even just from understanding one word and hearing the variety of ways in which it can be used. All right. So I don't need to go on and on about this. I think you get the idea. I'll go back and look through chat to see if anybody has any questions about this, but that is the basic idea. So again, when people are, if I can make this clear just here at the end of this lesson portion, often people think fluency is about adding more, like I need to learn more words or practice speaking more or study more. But really, if you already know a lot, the real things that are stopping you from speaking are the various doubts and issues and maybe lack of confidence about how to pronounce something, or you're unsure about a grammar point or something. It's those issues that actually stop you from speaking. So the removal of doubt is the thing that will actually help you speak faster and more fluently, rather than you just trying to add more to that information that you don't already feel confident about. So the goal is much simpler than a lot of people think, because if you just add more, then this is where we get questions like, how many words do I need to know to speak fluently? And the answer I usually give to people, like when people ask me, is you only need to know one word to speak fluently, because either you know that word well or you do not. So I can say hello and use that word fluently. Fluent doesn't mean I just know a lot of vocabulary. It means I have no doubt about the words I know. So rather than just taking a kind of general idea or something that you need to like keep adding more information, it's more about removing the barriers that stop you from speaking. So hopefully, if you understand it in that way, you have very specific goals or very specific problems that you can solve. And the way to get fluent becomes a lot easier, because it's not just about adding more and hopefully you get fluent. It's more about solving specific issues or thinking about what actually stops you from speaking. All right. Let me look at chat very quickly, see if I missed anybody. All right, we have some hellos and good mornings from people. Nice to see everybody there. Greetings from Germany. Welcome to Real Life. Let's see, Julian. Oh, nice to see Julian again. It's been a while. Greetings from Colombia. And Lemin from, I'm going to guess, Vietnam, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just guessing there. Robson, nice to see you there. Let's see. Zakia, hello. And Jay from Brazil. Med Said says, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, hi there. It's me, Saeed, I'm guessing. It has been a while since I catch your live. My dear teacher, I'm so happy that you are fine. Thanks for everything. It's my pleasure. All right, so Marco asked, what about facade? And I answered that already. Face the music again. Let's see, Marco. In essence, speak to lubricate your brain. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is actually remove doubt to allow yourself to speak. So again, maybe I should like repeat this or try to express it in a different way. If I imagine or think about a lot of the people I help, you know, they already have some amount of vocabulary. Like they know, I don't know, like 500 words or 1,000 words or whatever this number is. Let's just say it's 1,000 words. So if you know this many words, and when I say know, I'm really just talking about recognizing that information when you hear it. So if you hear something, oh, I understand what that word means, maybe you know it at that level, but you still might not feel confident about using it. So if you know, or you recognize, or you can understand a lot of vocabulary, but you still have trouble speaking, then adding more words on top of this is probably not going to help you. Because why would you be fluent in this, but not fluent in that down here? So the point here is it's more like, I don't know, you can think about it as having holes in what you know. So you recognize some vocabulary, but you're uncertain about the pronunciation. Or you recognize a grammar point when you hear it, but I'm not quite sure about how to use it. Maybe I don't know, I just don't feel very confident about using it for whatever. So rather than adding more in total, you want to plug these holes up by getting your questions answered or hearing a variety of examples of something that really help you understand how the language works. So really knowing the vocabulary well by removing your doubts, that's the thing that actually gets you fluent. So part of this is like, if you're already speaking a lot or you're trying to speak, but you still don't feel confident, then more speaking is probably not going to be a very efficient way to help you, okay? So again, like, you already know a bunch of words, but you don't feel very confident, so we're going to add more words to that. It's probably not going to help you. If you already speak, but you still don't feel confident, speaking more is probably not going to help you. It might help you, just like, learning more words might help you, but again, if that worked, why aren't you fluent already in what you know? So you should already be fluent in the words you know. You should already be able to speak fluently, with the conversations you're having already. So having more conversations, yes, it might maybe teach you more and improve, but it's not a very efficient way to improve, because unless you're speaking all day, every day, and making sure people explain things to you and make sure you understand the language, it's going to be like random encounters with people that help you understand certain things, maybe. All right, so we don't know if adding more is really going to help. So it's a lot easier and more efficient, and we also know the specific problems we have. So when I ask people, how many words do you know? Oh, okay, I know 1,000 words. And then they say, how many words do I need to know to speak fluently? And I could say, well, you need to know 10,000 words. Okay, so they study 10,000 words and maybe they still don't speak at that point. But if we know what specific issues you have, then it's much easier to solve that, because we can say, oh, your pronunciation is good, but you don't really understand, or you don't know how to make these particular sounds or these kinds of words very well. So just focus on that, get a few examples of those, and you will eliminate that doubt. All right, pretty easy. So I'm not recommending people speak more to become fluent. It is a way to do that, but I think it's just a much faster and easier way, and that's what I do. So I don't tell my children at home, okay, kids, repeat after me. What I do is make the language understandable, make everything very clear so they don't have questions about it. And if they do have questions, they ask me. And I notice that they just start speaking more as they feel more confident. Okay, so the confidence comes first, then the speaking comes. You can try to do it the traditional way, where if you're speaking, or maybe you don't even get so many speaking opportunities, but you're really looking to speak more, it's probably going to be a longer wait for you, looking for more people to speak with, more speaking opportunities, especially if you don't live anywhere or you don't speak with anybody online or whatever. So especially for the people who don't have anyone to speak with, the way I recommend is a much faster way to do it, because you don't have to wait for any speaking practice partners. The point is just plugging the holes in how you learn. All right. So again, you can try to speak more to become fluent, but I don't recommend people do that because it's just not the most efficient way to learn. All right, Danelise, or Dan C, sorry about that. I'm late, but I'll try to understand face. Yes, go back and watch the video if you need to. And Adasit says hello from Thailand. Nice to see you there. And let's see, face up, look up each other faces like in a fight, face your problem like battles against them. Yeah, the same idea. So you can also have like another example. FaceTime. So I think now this is what Apple calls their like chatting thing or whatever, but FaceTime, even before Apple started using that term, it just meant being able to see someone. So I might have some employees at my company, and every week I try to get some FaceTime with each of them. This means I'm actually meeting with them in person, so showing my face, so time with their face, so FaceTime. So I might have some FaceTime with my, I don't know, secretary or something this week to talk about my schedule, FaceTime. Can I say face to myself? I mean, I grammatically you could say that, like to face yourself, but like it's more if you're talking about I guess you could use it in two ways at least. So you can talk about facing yourself like looking in a mirror if you're talking about that, and that's a physical way of thinking about it. But you can also talk about it like you need to face yourself, like if you have some problems or fears or worries or something like that, you need to face those. So you could talk about it in that way. Like facing your own fears or facing some troubles or facing, whatever that particular thing you have. So you could, yes, I guess you could use it that way. And Bernabe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, says hello from El Salvador. Bridget, nice to see you there, face to face. Timur, hi, everyone from Turkey. Thank you for your work. It's my pleasure. Julian says, I agree with that because no one talks about what they don't understand. To speak, one must first understand, like children do. They listen first and then speak. Yeah, so this is and it's a really interesting, I don't really know how I don't know, maybe I just don't know the history of language, like professional language education. I know a little bit about it, but just the kind of way that we instruct people by forcing them to do things like speaking when it's not something they understand very well, it's kind of, I don't know, it seems like a stupid way to do it, like from my perspective. So when I was first teaching, that's what I had to do because I was working in a school and that's just, like everybody basically teaches that way. But most people don't really do that with their own children. And often people don't realize that children are learning just by the adults talking in the room. So adults like mother and father are speaking with each other and children are listening to that. And then they might ask later, like, oh, what does this word mean or something? So kids are actually spending a lot of time just listening and understanding things. And what I recommend is being very efficient about it. So a child might learn something and then not really understand what it means, but maybe years later, they understand something and finally it clicks for them. They get that aha moment of like, okay. Like I've told the example before about super titles. So that's just like I knew the word Superman or talking about super being like a really great thing. And then I was at the opera one day watching an opera with my mother and saw super titles. So I was asking my mom, what are those words on the top of the screen? Because usually words on a TV show or a movie are at the bottom. Those are called subtitles. And so super titles are at the top. And so when I heard that example, I had that like a kind of it clicked in my head, like, oh my goodness, super actually means over and above, and that's why Superman gets his name. So he's over and above regular men. So hearing examples like that, instead of waiting years to get those, if you can get them very quickly and very efficiently, like I'm doing here. So rather than you like getting each day a new example of something, if you can get a bunch of examples, they really help you understand something. I'm not trying to give you every example of the word face or how we might use it. The point, again, is just to help you understand the word, feel confident about it, so you use it more fluently. Okay, so if I can eliminate doubt, that will unlock your fluency automatically. Let's see if I missed anyone. But yeah, so Julian's getting it. Dancy says, love your content. Thanks. Hello from Brazil. Says, Tarcisio. That's an interesting name. And Tim Star says, Mayora means someone who loves mayonnaise in Japanese. I just learned it. Really? Mayora? Mayora? I've never heard that before. I mean, it would be maybe, maybe that's correct, I guess. I mean, it sounds like Mayora. Like, Mayora, like, really? I'll have to ask my wife about that. I mean, we have, mayo in our house or whatever, but I've never heard anyone say that. Like, I could imagine someone being like, I don't know, like mayodabu or something like that, I guess. But, Kazu says that's correct. All right, well, I'll be sure to ask my wife about that. There are often times like that. I learn something like this, and I'm just like, wow, I guess I've never heard that before. I know there are restaurants like that, like they specialize in like mayo stuff. So I guess a Mayora person would enjoy that, I guess. But thank you for that lesson, Tim Starr. So Sir says, love from Barat, and I see you there, and Catherine from El Salvador. Do you know, Sir, do you know Barat? Are you talking about a location? That's like a lowercase word. Let me know what that is. Andrew says, hi from Ukraine. And Dan says, I like UFC when they say fighters will face off this weekend. Yeah. Okay. So, like, yes, like people are like, again, facing off, going against some other person. It's another way of talking about fighting or meeting someone in a competition, typically. All right. Well, hopefully I knew this video would not be too long. If you have any questions about this or something else on your mind, let me know. But if not, we can call it a day and we can go out and face the day. You can go, oh, that's interesting. So the Hindi name of India. It's interesting. Huh. Yeah, and I know we have quite a few people from India who enjoy the channel and learn with us. So Kazue says, are you speaking American English? Yes, so I am from the United States, and I speak American English. I can pretend to have an accent from various other places, but my natural way of speaking is American English. That's correct. All right. Well, if people have no more questions, then look at that. We got a short video for today. But remember, the idea is not about trying to add more, especially if you're not already confident in what you know. If you know a lot and you feel confident, then please add more information. Then you will feel a lot more confident about speaking. But if you're unsure about things, then it will help you a lot if you can eliminate those doubts rather than trying to get more information or add new grammar rules or anything that is going to make it much more difficult for you to speak. Do you make a WhatsApp group? No, I do not. But you guys can all just create any groups you like. But whether you make a group or not, I typically recommend just spending more time with native speakers. So rather than making a group of people that maybe don't speak very well, just spend time around other people who do speak well, but do it efficiently. So don't just get random content that maybe you will forget or you don't want to review it because it's boring to repeat it. Then take something like the same idea of naturally varied review can be applied to anything. So I can listen to different topics, but focusing on a particular thing and hear different people talking about it, or see how different people react to different situations, or see how different people answer the same question, that kind of thing. So be efficient with your learning and think more about removing doubts rather than adding more information. And then as you do that, you will feel more fluent, and then you will start learning a lot of new information as well. So just like this, I know it might seem like you're spending more time on something, but when you know it really well, it's much easier to learn new things, and so your progress accelerates, you get fluent faster, everything just flows better when you're feeling more confident about what you know. All right, well, that's it for this video. Tiago's Idioms World says, thank you for the class. It's my pleasure. Again, good night, and thank you, says Raul. So if you have any questions, you can always email us at info@EnglishAnyone.com, or if you'd like to learn more about how we do this in our programs, you got links for Fluent for Life and Frederick in the description down below this video. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.